Thank you, Matt, for those songs. That was just awesome. It is great to be here, to be a part of this church. He's talking about all the different ones here. I mean, we could just go on and have a whole service of how your needs could be met right in this church. You need a house built, we got those. You need your eyes checked, we got multiples of those. You need surgery, we've got that. I mean, if you need counseling, we have counselors in this congregation. We've got a little bit of everything. You need a pediatrician, we've got one that's demonstrating as well as doing it. We have all kinds of good things that are going on in this church, and we're so blessed. 2 weeks away, Inky will be here. He'll be here. I keep contact back and forth with them, and he's coming in on the Saturday before, and so we're excited about him coming this way and the opportunity that's going to be. But that means that we need all hands on deck. It means we need everybody. We're not going to have Bible class that Sunday, but we're asking our members to be here no later than 9:30 because we want to be here to greet our visitors when they get here. We don't want them to show up and wonder where we are. We're going to be here. And if you're serving in any capacity on that Sunday, which by the way, they're going to need everything. Every group needs somebody extra in their group to help, whether it's the greeters or the guest central or our ushers or security or whatever. We need your help. We're going to be meeting and greeting our people, hospitality, if that's what you're doing. All these different areas, we need you to get involved in that. And we need, for instance, we had a staff meeting the other day, and I told Kayla and Aldrich, I said, look, y'all need to go loaded that Sunday. I said, you see somebody with a teenager, you need to have somebody in your group over there say, hey, I just want to introduce myself and tell you about our teen group. If they've got younger children, let me tell you about the Linary kids and tell you all about the good things that are going on here. This will be the day for you to be ambassadors for not only for Christ, but for this congregation, which is the body of Christ, to tell people about the good news about what we're doing in this place. Speaking of that, today, if you have your Bibles, be finding Joshua chapter 2. We're going to be talking about the state of the church. You know, today's message is different than many of the messages we share because it's the state of the church message. You know, the President of the United States once a year, usually around February, does what's called the State of the Union address, where he talks about right now. There we go. Now we're back on. The state of the church. We're going to try to do something similar to that about the body of Christ right here at Linary. Now in Joshua chapter 2, you find Joshua doing what any good general will do. They're about to go into war. And this is before they go into battle, before they come into the city of Jericho with their army, he sends in a reconnaissance mission. And you know, any good general would not go into battle unless he assesses the strengths and weaknesses of what he has. So he sent 2 spies into the city of Jericho to spy out the enemy, to see what their strengths that they had, to assess the enemies, to see what they needed to do in the battle that was surely to come. And when the 2 spies got into the city of Jericho, of course, it was very difficult for them because these 2 spies couldn't go unnoticed because they were so different from everybody else. They were Jews. These 2 spies were men of Israel, and they were going in among the Canaanites. And so they needed a place to hide because they were inside that city for some time. Well, there was in this city a woman named Rahab. Rahab was a lady of the evening, a call girl, a prostitute. And Rahab had heard of the children of Israel. She had heard of the mighty acts of God through them. She had heard that they were coming to her city. She heard that God had given them Canaan's land and that God had made them this promise. She had heard how God had done many miracles for them, how he had delivered them from Egypt. She believed that their God was the true God. So in knowing all this, Rahab encountered these two spies from Israel, and she invites them into her home, and she hid them there while to keep them from the men of the city of Jericho, while they were spying out the city, because she knew that city would be defeated. She just knew it. That the people of God would be victorious. Now, because of the unusual turns of event, her family was saved when Jericho fell, and the city of Israel overcame the city, and the walls fell down. You remember how they marched around the walls, and the walls came crashing down, and her and her family were the only ones that were saved from that city. The family of Rahab. Now, that is an illustration of how God uses unusual events and unusual people to do great things. God uses the things that are despised of the world. God uses the things that the world has cast off. God uses people that the world says are no good. God uses people that the world says are unworthy. And God uses small things, and God uses base things to confound the things that are mighty. That's what Paul says. And Rahab became a person who is listed, when you think about it, all the way down, when they list the genealogy of Jesus, she is in that genealogy. I mean, this identifies how Christ related to humanity in everyday life. It doesn't mean that God condoned her sin, but it shows how God's grace reaches out to any person who will respond to his grace and love. And that's what she did. God forgave her. God cleansed her. She went from being a call girl to being a princess of Israel because of her faith. And in Joshua, he tells us something. He tells us some things that we need to know about us. He tells us in Joshua chapter 2, 8 through 11, before the spies lay down for the night, she went under the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given the land to you, and that a great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in the city are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the waters of the Red Sea, and you were come out of Egypt, and what you did in Sihon and Og, the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on earth below. What a statement for a prostitute to make. For the Lord your God is God of heaven above and of earth below. Now, I doubt she had much education, but she knew who God was. I doubt she had a lot of things, but she knew who God was. She knew the right facts about God. And I will tell you today, you may have many degrees. You may know, know a lot of different things, but if you don't know God, those degrees won't do you any good at all. And I'm going to tell you, I'd rather my kids go into heaven spouting ABCs than knowing all the philosophies that the world has to offer. This girl knew something, and it was important, that God was God. You may have much wealth, but if you don't know who God is, your money is not going to get you into heaven. You may be incredibly religious, but if you don't know who God is, all your religion will not get you into heaven. You may think that you're incredibly ethical or moral, but if you don't know who God is, all your godness, goodness, and ethics and morality will not get you into heaven. Jesus says, except a man be born again, he will not enter the kingdom of God. So this lady was born of the Spirit because she knew whom God was, and she knew God's saving grace, and she knew some things about the future and the things that had happened. She knew what had happened in the past. She knew what was going to happen in the future, and it was all about God. Let me tell you about this church. Of course, we know we have banners as you walk in the foyer that tells about what we exist. We exist to live and love like Jesus. That is what our purpose is. That's why we are here. And we need to be living up to what we say we are and who we say we are. I want to tell you some things about this church. First of all, I want you to notice that we have some victories in the past. Now look at these two spies and their report, and I think about the message for today, and I want to say that we have victories in our past. He said, before the spies lay down for the night, she went up into them under the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given this land to you, and that a great fear has fallen on all of us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. They had such victory in the past that the word had spread into the city of Jericho. Their reputation had preceded them. That's what it needs to be for this church. When somebody mentions the name of the Lion Area Church of Christ, they need to know, I don't know but a lot about a lot of things, but I know that God is working in that church. They had such victories. So we look at the victories of the past. We remember the blessings of God and rejoice at the blessings of God. I love when Nehemiah, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is the building of the walls of Jerusalem after they came back and rebuilt those. And Nehemiah has a plan, and he brings the people together and he says, I told them of the good hand of my God which was upon me. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be telling each other and reminding each other the good hand of God that was upon us. And he did that so to inspire them, to get them to go on to greater works. Anytime you come into the new year, one of the things that you need to do is you need to look backwards. You need to look backwards because you want to build on the victories of the past. So we've heard the Lord dried up the water. We've heard that you did what you did to the kings of the Amorites, and our hearts melted in fear. That's what she said. Well, let's remember the blessings of God. I see the journey behind us, and I see the victories that we've accomplished in 2019. We want to remember these victories. We want to rejoice in them because the Bible says that the Lord surely has given the whole land into your hearts, into our hands. Well, we know that if God has done something great in the past, that means He's going to continue to do something great in the present. Amen? So let's look at some of the things. Now, I was going to give you a financial report, but I just didn't have the numbers. I will tell you this. We were extremely blessed this year financially, to the point to where we were able to do some great things. Some of the things that we're going to talk about. I don't know how much we did, but I know that we did enough because our bills are paid. And we got a little bit in the bank. But I can't give you numbers. Janice told me, said she's finishing up. Actually, she's putting the last period on the end of that sentence. I think she did this week. She's gone, by the way. It's her birthday, and she's out of town. And so she said, I'm out of town. I can't send those to you. I said, that's okay. We did good. She said, that's good enough. And we have. And I want to tell you about that. But I want to also tell you about our activities as a result of what you've done this year. I mean, we've done some great things. I'm going to start with the best. We had 16 baptisms in 2019. Isn't that great? You know, a lot of bigger congregations than this that don't have that many baptisms in a year. We had 16 baptisms last year. And God has blessed us in those things. We've done so many good things. God has blessed us in so many different ways. And we need to understand how God has blessed us spiritually in this congregation. We've had people's lives that have been changed. But I want to tell you some of the good things that God has done to this church. Some of the great things that He's done. Some of the things that I think are high. This is number one. I think some of the other things that He's done is He gave us some great families here to work with us this year. You know, Kayla became our children's minister back in February of last year. She's almost approaching her 1-year anniversary with the work here. And what a great work she's done. I'm going to tell you some of the work that she's done this year. I think that's probably one of the best decisions we've ever made, was hiring Kayla to work with this church. She has just been a fantastic job in revamping our children's ministry. She is incredibly, organized, which most guys aren't. And I'm so glad we have her in that ministry because she's highly organized. She's doing some great things at work. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. And then also, Audric and his family joined us this past year. They came in April. You know, we've been praying about a youth minister for a long time. We went off to, matter of fact, I made a commitment when I went. I've been praying about it last year. You know, in February, we go to Winterfest. We went to Winterfest last year, and I made a commitment. I said, I'm not coming back from Winterfest without at least the name of somebody we can contact to get to be a youth minister. Well, I went to Winterfest, and I like to go to Winterfest. I love to hang out with the kids, and I love to go to the lectures and all that. But at this particular one, I had little handouts that I gave that says, is God calling you? And on that was about, where's God calling you? And I would talk. I'd find somebody to look like a youth minister. If he looked like a youth minister, I'd hand him one. And I got to talking to people, and I didn't find one at Winterfest, but I did find a good friend of mine who said, I know a guy that would be great for you guys. I said, that's good enough for me. And it was at church that I preached in Paducah, Kentucky. Jamie Boone, he said, we're actually looking at this guy. So I said, well, close the book because we want him. And so we contacted Aldrich and Maria, and all the rest is history. They're here with us, and I'm going to tell you about some of the good works that they've done for us this year. We said at the beginning of the year we're going to emphasize missions 4, and oh, how we did. We did some great works, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. We did the blood drives. This year was the 10th anniversary of Jake's accident and our blood drive organization. And she had a goal of 100 units. I think she got 103, I think, or 106, something like that. But it was over 100 units that we were able to do at that one. That doesn't count the other drives that we've had this year in this church. Now, they say that for every unit of blood that's given, 8 people's lives are saved. Just that one, you have over 800 people. That's impressive. Then, we had our Easter celebration here, and the Easter Bunny showed up. We gave out, boy, were we blessed. Last year at our Easter egg hunt, the state park got rained out on theirs. They called us and said, you want our eggs? I bet you they had 10,000 eggs. Our kids got so many eggs that they were bringing them and dumping them off to the side there. That's how, the Lord says your cup will run over. Our eggs were running over. As a matter of fact, we had so many eggs at our egg hunt that the kids said, I'm tired of picking up eggs. And we had to go pick up some just to throw them away because we had so many eggs out there. But we had such a large group. We updated our guest central last year. And we had made our coffee thing the year before, back in October, when the Robertsons were here. We got that part done. We finished up this area here. Doesn't that look good? And it looks good. It's very inviting information. We have people that are signed to be up there doing that work. We stepped that up. We have the 1 to 4 ministry that goes with that, where Matt has taken over that work, doing a fantastic job with our 1 to 4 ministry. As a matter of fact, they have come up with a side work with that, to where they're inviting visitors to come home, because you know how Kathy Page is. She don't mind talking to anybody. And they will invite people to their home after church services, and y'all have had a ton of people that y'all have had lunch with. But don't let them be the only ones do that. Y'all need to step up in there. But the Welcome Center, tied with Matt's ministry, with other ministries, have reached out to some people, showed them the love of Jesus in this community here, and we're just so thankful for that part of the work. That we had our graduation this year, and what a great work that was. They did, just Conrad does such a good job. He did like camping, and we set it up. That's actually not the right picture for that, I think. But anyway, we did our Mother's Day deal. We had 360 for Mother's Day. That was I think our largest attendance for the year was Mother's Day this past year. 360. Why? Because, and we're going to do it again this year, because we love our mothers, our ladies here, and we make that Sunday where we don't want our women to do anything, so the guys prepare breakfast. They did all the kinds of good things. And I'm telling this because all you know that, but we might have some visitors here, and he's talking about all the good things that are going on. They need to know about what we got going on here. You come Mother's Day, if you're a mother, you don't have to do nothing. Just show it. We don't even have Bible class because most of our Bible classes are taught by women. So we said we're not going to make our women do anything. Now, we should have just had the guys go in there, but we weren't going to do our kids that way. So we said no Bible class that Sunday. We fed our women breakfast. We loved on them. We gave them a gift. We had a special Mother's Day sermon. Just a wonderful day. We had our Wednesday night meals just keep growing and growing. We have our Wednesday night meal. If you're visiting with us every Wednesday night at 5:30, we've served thousands of meals during the year. And we at no cost. At least that's to you personally, if you're visiting with us, no cost at all. If you're here, that's part of where your money goes that you're giving is to pay for those meals because we serve a lot of meals. We did our summer series this year and had different speakers from different. We did Limitless. What a great thing that we did with that. We had our summer of service. I'm going to show you some things with that. The kids, we had a youth intern this year, and he served this year 10 weeks, 12 weeks this summer. Worked with our kids. A lot of people say, "Well, why do we need a youth intern?" Listen, we wore that boy out. He had Tuesday night we had TNT Junior Tuesday night together. That was for the younger kids. Wednesday night he taught Bible class. Thursday night we had TNT Senior. That was teenage level. They went out and did something. On Sundays they had life groups together. On Sunday he taught a Bible class to one of the groups. He went out with kids during the week, did different things. He shadowed a couple of doctors who was thinking about doing that kind of stuff. But a lot of good things. He was here this summer and he did a great job. We've got silver servants here. If you're older and not involved with our silver servant group, you're missing out. That is an active group. We started the silver service back when I was here the first time. And my goodness, what a group. If you're over 50, is that right? Is it over 50 or over 55? I think we started it as over 50. And oh my goodness. They volunteer once a month at Good Samaritans. They have a game night once a month where they get together and play games. They have their own life group that is probably the largest, most faithful group that we have of all the groups because when they like to get together. And they're always doing something, a lot of things that you don't even know about. I know they took a family here at church that had 4 children that a single mother that had 4 children that struggling, going to school, working 2 jobs and trying to make it. They said, you know what, we're going to take this family and we're going to love on them. And they bought Christmas for them. Oh my goodness. One of the little girls got a basketball, which was surprising to me that a little girl would get so excited about a basketball. She was. Basketball. She said, I didn't think I was going to get a basketball. She got a Wilson basketball, and they got a basketball goal and got it up at their house and all that kind of stuff. They went over to the house and delivered it. Just what a great group we have with our, and of course, they're the ones that's leading it. We had our Father's Day deal that we had, and again, we honored our fathers. I have to say our fathers don't do as good as our mothers. We didn't have nearly as big a crowd with our fathers, but we still love our dads. But they're going to have to get on stick. Our mothers know how to use the guilt thing. Dads need to learn from mom how to do that. The mothers would say, hey, if you want to do something to me, be here for Mother's Day. All I want is you to come. And they're real good about that kind of stuff. We had 360 of them. Guys sometimes think that's a day off. But we had a great group that were here and loved on our dads and like I say, did a great group of that. We sent a group to camp this year. Taylor Christian Camp. Our youth group went to Taylor Christian Camp this year. You see the large crowd of kids the kids got to spend a week at camp this year. A lot of you don't know about it. They went to Impact this year. This is some of them at Impact. Again, we had a Honduras mission trip. We had the Liberia mission trip. We had our vacation Bible school that was, so I've heard people say that's probably the best vacation Bible school that we've ever done. And we've done some great vacation Bible schools in this church over the years. Matter of fact, I found some, Gayla and I, when the girls were in, we had all the girls in for Christmas. We found some, we had a friend of ours that took old tapes that we had and put them on DVDs, found some tapes of us back. I saw Josh Tollett. I thought it was a kid. He was he was a kid. He was probably 19, 18, 20 years old. How old were you when you got married? 19. He was 19 years old or 20. You were such a baby in that. But then, remember when we did the Vacation Bible School where we did the camps of Israel and all that? If you don't know what Josh does for a living, he's a bricklayer. You know what he did for Vacation Bible School? He made bricks. They actually taught the kids how the children of Israel made bricks, and they had straw and mud and all that. And I've got video of you making bricks. And I had to look back. I didn't know who you was. He was such a baby. And we've done some great vacation Bible schools. I've heard people say this is the best one we've ever done. And it was fun. By the way, we're planning on doing that again. We did Joy Story this year and just had a great time. You would not believe how many monkeys we cut out for Vacation Bible School. As a matter of fact, our youth intern, we called him the Monkey Man because that's, he'd walk around, if he didn't have anything to do, it's kind of like, how your parents say, if somebody says, your kids say you're bored. My kids never would try that on me because if you say I'm bored, I'd say, well, I got a job for you. If it means digging a hole and filling it back up, I would have a job for him. Well, if I ever caught him not doing something, I'd give him a ride and say, cut out monkeys. And he cut out, ain't no tell how many monkeys he cut out this year. We had our summer service, and I'm just showing you a bunch of pictures of some of the things they did in our summer service. It was incredible. Let's see, I've got some of the things that they did in that. I had to make myself some notes because they did so many different things. They did a teddy bear tea party. They did birthday bags for the Avalon Center. They did TNTs. They did Hope for Life International. They made blankets for the Linus Project. They did all kinds of things over the summer in our youth ministry class. That's what they did. They did all these different things, and they had a different speaker come in every week. That's some of the blankets they made for the Linus Project. Our kids learned to serve this summer. We played softball this year. Mason came and said, I guess, I can't remember if you came to me or I came to you, but anyway, I know he did the basketball the year before. I said, Mason, we need to have a softball team. He said, let's do it. Mason took over the softball team, picked the right guy. We won the championship. We didn't just play. Mason says, I don't do anything halfway. If we're going to go all the way. By the way, Josh, he was 19 when we saw him back then. That guy still got it. How many home runs did he hit? I think it was like 5 home runs in one game. It was incredible. Still got it. His son says, when he was there, said, I'm not worthy. But we won the championship. But we had a blast. I don't know. There's Robert sitting there. By the way, if you've not met Robert and Tesla, they are a direct result of us playing softball. Is that not right, Robert? And we could not have made any better investment. This guy is awesome. And his wife's even better. And we've been blessed with that group. Some of our older guys said they're not going to play next year, and I say shame on them. I did a funeral for a 102-year-old man Thursday, and he served up until the day he died. Oh, well, actually, he quit coming to church 3 weeks before he died at 102. And he lived that long because he kept on going. So there's never an excuse for not doing it. But these guys, we had such a good time in fellowship with these guys playing ball. We did the Magi boxes. We started out, we thought we were going to do a few. We did hundreds. And, somebody asked me during Christmas, well, are we not going to do something for people for Christmas? I said, we already did. You don't remember? We did the Magi boxes. They were shipped overseas, and what a great project that was. You see all these boxes. Kim delivered those to Nashville. I mean, what great works we were doing. We started our children's giving this year. Was that not fun? Has that not been, to me, that's probably one of the best decisions we made is letting those, because it just encourages me every time I see how blessed we are with our young people in this congregation. We started doing that. They started doing some more things in our Kids Street Live. This is washing feet. I don't know what they're doing that for, but they were washing feet. No, that's actually dipping in, I think that's the one where they were dipping in spaghetti in it. What was it? Why? There you go. I would hope you'd have washed their feet after. But, this is where they actually did foot washing there with the teeth. They did all kinds of different projects in our things. Our Thanksgiving meal, we wound up serving, I think we set a record this year, did we not? Of the number that we delivered Thanksgiving meal. All I know is we delivered a bunch of Thanksgiving meals. It was, anybody remember how many it was? 1,712, thank you. And we've got, what's so neat about it was we have another generation that's taken over from previous generation. That's dad and mom have passed down to their children. They've taken it over, and what a great job y'all doing. And what a great reputation this gets. We're talking about the Rahab and the idea of what they heard from the community, that we've heard about the great works. That's one of the things that gets our name out of the community more than anything else. And I know sometimes people say, well, why would we do that to this group? We sent it to some groups that would give them meals anyway. We sent it to all the jails. I love getting that letter back. Last year, the story of the guy at jail that actually tried to break into our church building. And the sheriff personally took in the meal and says, you know those people you tried to break into? They want to tell you they love you, and they sent you a meal. Said he cried. And this year, the whole wing there sent us a letter, signed a letter saying how much they appreciated us just thinking about them. By the way, in conjunction with that, we got a request from a husband and a wife that actually were both in jail for drugs. Asked for there's a Bible that's a rehab Bible that they have out that gives you lessons and stuff. I carried Bibles to the jail and let them have those Bibles, and hopefully they're recovering. I don't know, maybe when they get out, maybe we planted some seeds that will change the life there. But just a lot of good things. Our life groups keep continuing to do things. My particular life group this year at Christmas, we went and sang songs to our shut-ins and did that. We carried the youth group with us when we went. The women had their cup thing that they did this year, a cup exchange, and they had a good time. I'm not going to tell you what my wife got, but I don't know how she wound up with it. But anyway, the young people did some things. The young people did some things. We did a progressive dinner, for instance, and what a great time that was. Some of our older ones opened up their homes for the younger ones, and we went to 4 different homes and brought them. We had a good turnout for that. They wound up at my house at the end. That's one of the houses we went to. We did showers this year. We did all kinds of good things. That's another house we went to. Again, I mixed those up. Those more of the cups. Our young people did a shut-in, a lock-in. I think they've done 2 lock-ins this year. This last lock-in they did on New Year's Eve, they had over, I think, close to 35. They had that came all together. Most of them stayed all night. So that was huge. We bought a new copy machine. Now, that might not mean much to you, but that was awesome to me. I'll just tell you, and I get laughed at in the office because I talk to the copy machine. I'll go by, and by the way, the guy, when he took it out, he said, you want to know how old this copy machine is we took out? I said, yeah, tell me how old that is. He said, it's 20 years old. I bought the last copy machine 20 years ago. So we bought a new copy machine where we could do a little bit more in-house printing and everything. I go by and I pat that thing and say, you're doing a good job. But we got that. We got new playground equipment this year and a fence around our children's thing out here. And if you're out here on a Wednesday night after services when the weather's pretty, it's packed out there. Matter of fact, I think we're going to have to add some more. It's packed. And just doing all kinds of things. We just did some remodeling our kids' street. Now, I had Jack volunteered to stand there because I said you really don't get the perspective unless you get some kid beside it. We put new sinks. Those sinks, this is a big deal. If you've not gone back there to our kids' street and seen the upgrade that they've done up there, you need to see that. That sink is a kid-sized sink. And they stick their hand under there, and it automatically cuts on and off. We don't have to worry about them leaving the water running. They've got toilets. Look at that tiny little toilets. I told Jack, because when I first took the picture, I said, well, it looks just like a regular toilet, till you get Jack to stand beside it. Those are their size toilets, and it's awesome. It looks great. And Jeff, thank you for getting that job done. We challenged him to get it done in 3 weeks, and he got it done in 3 weeks. And just did a good job. They also did that area up there where they're doing kids, the worship part. They do activities in there. They break up in 2 groups during our worship time. That area there, I'm telling you, if you haven't seen it, you need to go down there and look at it. We took out the old bathroom on the right-hand side and opened that space up. We redid that, mounted TV in there, all that. It looks great. We just did so many different things this year. We got a new laminating machine. We updated our nursery. If you look back in the nursery, there's a lot of good things in our nursery. Again, our group went into Winterfest this last year. I didn't have pictures from Winterfest, but we had a good group in Winterfest this last year. Already, we're beating the sign up for what we had last year, we're almost doubling the number that are going to be going this year. We did our, somebody asks sometimes, what are they doing on Wednesday nights, the teens? All they're doing is they're back there playing kickball or dodgeball or something like that, and they're just playing on Wednesday nights, and they need to be getting some Bible study. You don't know what they're doing. They're doing team building on Wednesday nights. Aldrich, when he came in, he said, look, I see we have such a diverse group of young people here. And if you know our teens, you know that's the truth. We have kids that are sports stars in our congregation, and we've got kids that will trip over their feet. We've got kids that are super smart, and we got kids that just love life. And, and we've got everything in between. We've got them all. And one of the things that Aldrich recognized when he first came here was, we've got some in homeschool, and we've got some that are in our regular schools. And he said, there's just a division among our kids in the way they interact with each other. And my first goal is to interact with them and build some relationships. And so what he's doing on Wednesday nights, for you who think they're just playing kickball back there, they're not. They're back there actually, they have a different one on Wednesday night come and do a Devo with them. And they talk about a different particular type thing. And then they usually do an activity that is tied to that Devo that is a team building activity. So that they have to interact with each other. And guys, it's working. It is working. He is doing a great job of getting these kids to start interacting when they were kind of really, you had a group over here and a group over here. Now they're just a group. And they're still working on that. So keep that, our teens need your help. And they're talking about building some things and doing some more building stuff. But I want you to know that they're not just back there playing volleyball and kickball. They actually have a method in what he's trying to do with the kids back in our things. So, because I have heard a little criticism about that, and you're wrong. They're doing good. They're actually learning how to do things. But they did some great things. They're doing some relationship building. Our hayride this year. What a great thing. I didn't have pictures of that either to put up there, but we had our hayride this year. We had a basketball league for the second year. They're doing basketball again this year. How many of you haven't turned out on the basketball league on Thursday nights? A lot of y'all don't even know, but on Thursday nights, Mason, what's your job title now? He's the program manager for the city, which couldn't be a better job for him. This guy's awesome. But long before he ever did that, he had a vision for this church and getting people to this church. And Mason said he wanted to do basketball. And so how many do y'all have on an average Thursday night here? And he does such a great job with them. And there's been several people who have made contact with this church as a result of, again, those interactions. And so a lot of people think, well, you don't see Mason teaching a Bible class, but he is working behind the scene doing a lot of work that a lot of people don't know. And I appreciate you, brother. I do. I appreciate the work that he's done. And that's just one person among a lot of different people doing a lot of different things in this church. Now think about our mission. We said at the beginning of the year that we wanted to emphasize missions in this church. We had 11 that went to Honduras this year. We had the Liberia work, where we sent a group to Africa that went to Liberia, and they came back and pitched a program for this church to build a school in an area where there was no school. And they came up with the idea that maybe we'll do Fifth Sunday contributions. So we'll do that, and we've done Fifth Sunday contributions to try to pay for this school. $160,000. 2 Fifth Sunday contributions this year. We've paid it. Guys, that is phenomenal. Matter of fact, I'm in a group of preachers that that we meet online once a month, and at the end of the thing, they talk about, what's some victories that you've had and all this kind of things. And I was talking about some of the good things going on here, but then I said, oh, by the way, I said, we were doing this thing in Liberia. I said, we just had a Fifth Sunday contribution. We did this. Those guys were blown away. Y'all did that in 2 contributions. Absolutely. We're supporting Rachel Maddox this year. We're sending her to AIM. Let me tell you something. Rachel will be a different person when she comes back. She is going to Ireland, is that right? Yeah, she'll be a missionary in Ireland. They're in Mexico City right now. But Rachel took on, we work with the China Now, we've worked with Health Talents International, we've done work with Ghana this year, we did the Great Cities Ministry. I see part of our mission is the Thanksgiving meal. Devo and Sow. If you can sew, if you're not aware, we have a group that meets twice a month here at the building of ladies that meet and sew together. If you like to do that, you would do well. And how many ladies y'all have in that group? I know it's a dozen plus that are here on, what's that? It changes, yeah. But there's over a dozen altogether, and they come up here and meet. They do things, they make comfort quilts. If you know of somebody who has cancer, they'll send a quilt to them. You remember they did our quilts for our people that were, our patriots, our veterans, and they did that. Another thing you might not know about, our young ladies just started a couple of months ago. Our young ladies started a Monday night class, and they meet every Monday night for Bible study, and this is for young mothers, young ladies, young marrieds. Mary, if you want to know anything about it, ask Mary, because she's the kind of one that organized that. How many of y'all have it in that Bible study? About a dozen every Monday night. A lot of us don't. I know a lot of you probably didn't even know that was going on. It's not for the older ones. It's for the younger ones. And they're having a great time together. But you see what I'm saying? There's just so many different things going on this year. And I could go on, but it's already 15 after 11. And we got to beat the Baptists to get to go eat. So what I'm saying is God has blessed us this year. And I'm glad it took me so long to get through all the different things. There's just so many good things going on. Then we have a vision for the future. Not only do we have victories in the past, we have a vision for the future. And our vision for the future is a God-given vision. Why do we have a vision for the future? Because of the promises of God. He tells it in Joshua. They said to Joshua, the Lord has surely given the whole land into your hands. All the people are melting in fear because of us. They had a promise from God, and that promise said, you're going to have victory. And we have a promise from God. Now, God has given them the land, but they still had to possess it. God has made us some promises. We still have to possess those promises. And so we have a lot of things. The Bible tells us in Matthew chapter 16, 18, he said, thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against us. And friends, we don't fight for victory. We fight from victory. And God has promised us victory in this church. Joshua says in Joshua chapter 2, 24, the Lord said to Joshua, the Lord has surely given this whole land into our hands. And we must confess that victory every Sunday, every day that we come, every day that we live. We need to confess that victory is ours. God has given it to us. And we must claim that victory. He said to Joshua, the very place that the sole of your foot will tread, I have given unto you. You got to claim those promises. And we want to do that this year. As I look at the future for 2020, I see some highlights of this year. I see us trying to touch the lost, lonely, and unchurched people here in Crossville area. I see our life groups expanding. We've got Inky Johnson coming into this month. You know why we're doing that? Because we want to get people into our building. We want to get them here, tear down those walls, make that impression. Tell them about the good hand of God that is upon us. Because there are so many people that are out there searching. And we could have as many as 1,000 plus people here for that Sunday. Guys, what an opportunity for us. I'm going to let you in on something that's not solid because we haven't got all the everything down on that. But we're hoping to have the Robertsons back again in May. Doing a marriage deal with the Robinsons. We're hoping to do that. We're hoping to do, of course, VBS. We're already got plans for our VBS this year. We know what we're doing for VBS this year. We're stepping up our missions, our teaching programs. We need more participants in our teaching program. We're starting a youth incentive program this year where the teens are earning points towards mission trips. The younger ones are going to earn points for service. And both groups are going to be earning things for different things. For instance, our older one's going to earn points to go to missions. One of the things we're going to do, we're putting up hopefully here in the next month, we'll have it done. We're going to make a little store like front in Kidd Street where a line of kids, where that we kids, if they learn memory verses, if they bring someone, if they show up, they get points, and they can redeem those points for little things we have in our showroom there, little store there, and they can do that. Our teens, we're going to try to get to operate that. They're going to earn points towards their mission trip. And we got Impact coming up, Taylor Christian Camp, Horizons, serving volunteer lunches. The teens are the ones that are going to serve. You talk about the volunteer lunch we got coming up in February. Our teens are going to be the ones that are going to be serving that and working in that. They're going to try to do 2 service projects each month, helping with needs in our congregation and the community. Again, VBS work days, VBS volunteering, being a part of our congregation's big events. Another trip to Honduras this year, bring our friends with us, kind of things. By the way, the biggest points that our kids could make is if they bring someone with them. They get to double their points that they make just for being there by bringing someone with them. Group activities, small group activities, we're trying to involve in those. Our Liberia mission, we hope to give you reports back on that of how they're already started. They poured, I think, the second floor for that. This vision that God has laid on our hearts because there's such a great harvest field. Jesus said, say not that there are 4 months and then the harvest. He said, behold, lift up your eyes and look, the fields are already white unto harvest. And it's because of what God has done. I had a lot more I was going to say this morning, but I'm going to put a period on it. You just can't hardly pack what God has done for this church in one lesson. I can just tell you that. But that ought to give you a little insight that this church is active, alive, and working, and has a vision for the future, and you need to get in on that vision. You need to be a part of that vision. You need to be striving to be a part of what God has for this church. Now this morning, we come to this time of commitment. This is the state of the church. We commit to this vision. We commit our lives and with all of our hearts to what God wants us to do, what He wants to do in and through this church. This vision must become our vision. Again, you may need to make the first step in that, and that's becoming a part of this group. I'm going to tell you there's plenty of work to do, and there's plenty of things for you to be a part of. And we want you to be a part of this family this morning. And if we can help you do that this morning, I want to encourage you as we stand, we offer the invitation.